Well, that's right, Stephen. Thanks for having me on. We do see, and we have in fact seen prices recover from the extraordinarily low and dislocated levels that we saw a couple of months ago. And we do think that there's still the potential towards the end of this year to stabilize at or around these levels. But it's really going to be into next year, we think, before we can make much further progress.
In the equity market, if they think something's going up, they don't worry about the facts in the short term. They just buy it and then wait for the market to catch up. They wait for earnings to grow into crazy PEs. In that vein, you think that WTI could, or beg pardon, Brent could rise to $50 by the end of 2021. What's to stop the speculators getting on board that story earlier and pushing it beyond your short-term expectations and just getting ahead of the curve?
Well, the volatility of these markets has just been extraordinary, as you were talking about just a moment ago. So if you're a speculator, you need to have the capital to withstand that volatility and margin calls on futures exchanges. And there are not many people with deep enough pockets to do that, to be honest. So I think a lot of people have been on the sidelines in the last couple of months just waiting for things to be stabilized, whereas in the first quarter we saw massive volumes in most of the oil markets.
Martin, what is the significance day to day of the rising COVID cases that we see in the United States here? Obviously, we've been all tracking the increase in mobility as we've seen countries try to lift the lockdowns, and you would expect that to bleed through to the energy market. But it does appear that states are having to start reimposing those lockdowns now. What does that mean near term?
Well, we have seen global demand come back in the last couple of months. I mean, typically we're seeing demand come back 3-4 million barrels per month in the last couple of months, which generally over the course of the year would be a massive change in demand. But the question now in the US is that if we are going to see countries locking down again, or states, I should say, in the US locking down, is one, what's the impact going to be on demand? Are people going to drive? Is air traffic going to come back in the US? But also, and this is really potentially important, what's going to be the impact on the US refining sector, which, as you know, is heavily in the Gulf Coast of Mexico, in Texas, and Texas looks like it's going to be one of the most impacted states now. So that may impact the ability of refineries to operate, and it may have the impact of forcing crude to go offshore, for example.